Yes. That is better. Sorry. I've had to go through like convoluted ways to get it streaming to all the services I want to get streaming to. And I forgot, since it's been, I don't know, a month and a half since I've gone live. Maybe a month, I don't know. On September 19th. It's been almost a month. Almost a month. Anyways, hey, thanks guys for tuning in. I realized that, or I forgot that I had set up Facebook through something. Anyways, I realized when I went live that it was not going live to Facebook. Where is my chats? All right. Seems to be working. Double tap video to quickly switch. Oh, I just liked my own video. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I had to make some adjustments. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be working on this alien some more, this Alien-Cowboy. So I've been carving on him for a little while. I'm still very early into carving, and this is part of my series called Path to Polymath. And if you've never tuned into Trade Skills before, I interview talented and passionate people. We hang out, figure out what makes them tick, what are their drives, and hopefully anybody that's watching, they pop into chat, they can ask questions if they're like a budding metal worker or budding glassblower or whatever. They want to do that. They can kind of ask questions and get their answers. Oh, I can't play two videos at once. Anyways, it'll let them know kind of whenever they're wanting to go towards something and learn a new skill, kind of where they can start. But this part of my series, I'm Apple user. Anyways, this part of the series, I am going through Path to Polymath, is what I call it. Path to Polymath. Polymath is just somebody who is like, think of, I mean, I hate to say like the jack of all trades, but it's somebody who's decently good or proficient at a lot of things. So I chose wood carving and whittling as the first thing for me to learn. And then hopefully by the end of this particular series, I will have a wood carver or a whittler on the show, interview them, and then I'll go on to the next one, whether that's mosaic work or sculpting, pottery, jewelry making, stained glass, whatever it is that I decide to go to next, once I feel like I've, gotten to a certain level here. Yeah, so that's where we're at. This is part of the Path to Polymath series in Trade Skills. I don't have my normal gloves. I have these guys here. They're just amiibos. I didn't want you guys to think that I'd carved these, but I thought that the opening scene looked kind of bland. So I was like, you know what? We'll have Chibi Robo and Dr. Mario. Great game if you ever get a chance to play Chibi Robo on the GameCube. I think also in the future of this show, I will kick back up Trade Skills Gaming, which is, I'm going to just go through my Steam library and play some games, man. I've got, 600 and something games, and a lot of them I've never even touched. So kind of doing like the roulette thing and trying a game I've never played before. You guys get to see me suck at it. But that's like a separate entity to this show. These are not my normal gloves. My girlfriend has those. I let her take them to work. So I'm running with these. They're not as good, but because they're made for a much smaller person. I don't know if you can see kind of how much my finger goes in. Yeah, they're like webbed at this point. Yeah, my finger goes in like that much. So we make do, Some protection is better than no protection. I say with wood carving. These are Kevlar gloves. They're not perfect. I think the ones I have are way better, but some form of protection is always good. So I have to be mindful of where the blade usually passes. So if I use this blade, for example, I can't even grip things. These gloves suck. That's not a great sign. I'm literally having difficulty getting this blade out. Okay, let's put a little razzle dazzle on this thumb. I don't think this is a normal area that I would get a lot of attention as far as the blade goes. But not the ideal way to do it, but it's whatever. Now I should be able to grab this. Oh yeah, pretty easily actually. So if I use this blade for example, I have to be mindful of the areas that the blade is going to be passing or going near. So if I am doing, that's going to drive me crazy. Let's get the bad boy on there tight. If I'm doing a pull cut, this thumb right here, you know, if I'm doing a pull cut, my blade comes pretty close to this thumb, so not ideal to have it unprotected. Once you become pretty experienced, you know, it's a different story. But I'm trying to think of some other areas that I probably would put one across this finger, because if I'm holding it like this, you don't want a slight from the blade. So let's get a little bit on this boy right here. This is just a little extra. I mean, you can buy these at Amazon. They're not expensive. I think I bought a bulk of like 12 of them for, I don't know. It couldn't be more than like 15 or 20 bucks. And that's more than I'll ever need. Comes in a lot of different colors. It's pretty useful stuff. But it's just offering on top of the Kevlar just a little more protection. I think I'll probably use Facebook instead. And these gloves don't you can't, there's no haptic, because it's not the right word, right? It doesn't register that my finger is here, so I have to take these off to be able to access my phone. Like I said, not ideal. All right. Here we go. We're back in biz. Go back to these tiny little gloves. Now, in all honesty, these gloves, what comes in the kit, I think it is designed for like young people, small people. So it's not going to fit a big man hand. And you know what? I think that is ageist. Is that the word? I don't know. I think they should have said like kit for kids kind of situation, like whittling kit, sharp blade for kids. They did not. It's just unspecific. That was just a really rough job in doing that. I'm probably in the exact same spot I was left off in. Yeah. Exact same spot I left off. Love that. Either way, it's been a little while since I have been on. These blades have not been stropped in a bit. I actually went home to my hometown, which is like 12 hours south of where I'm currently at. Took my lady, or I won't say took, like she wasn't gonna go, or like, yeah. Anyways, we all went on a trip down south. My little dude did a really, really good job. I mean, 12 hours, and then the next day, once we get to the 12-hour spot, another 4 hours to another place that we were going. And for a little 9-month-old, that's huge to be in the car that long. Currently, what I'm doing is stropping the blade. So I am taking off very, very small microscopic pieces of the blade to kind of hone it, to sharpen it. So if your blade is already like super dull, this isn't probably what you want to go through and do. But if you already have like a decent edge on there, you know, just give it a good once over right before you start carving, and then probably every, depending on the wood, 20-30 minutes of carving, just kind of hit it up again to kind of maintain that sharpness. Put some more of this compound on here. It's basically like just a really dense crayon. You just kind of give it a once over. You want to make sure it is extremely sharp, because a dull blade will tear up your wood and it will tear up your finger, your skin. So you definitely want your blade to be as sharp as possible. I'm going with this bad boy too. We're just gonna keep it at a nice consistent angle. Suppose I should put this in a way that some of you guys on the purple platform can actually see. Yeah. So yeah, just a nice consistent angle. I'm gonna flop it over. Hopefully next episode I've got my gloves in, because this is abysmal. Actually, my first probably, I don't know, month of carving, these are the gloves I used. They really make me feel like I have like carpal tunnel or something. It's just the amount of energy I have to go through, because they are smaller, you know, like to get my hand to stretch out fully, it just requires a lot of work. It's really tight on the hands already, so it's like a, I don't know, it's like a really dense rubber band. Put some more of this compound on here. And then we're gonna get back into our alien. I actually, so I was carving things before, right? I've carved a plethora of things from like gnomies to like little bears, just all in the goal to just become better, to get, you know, get in your time. They say like what, 10,000 hours to become a master at something. I'm not trying to become a master. I'm not trying to become, you know, within the top percentile of people who whittle or wood carve. If I could just be, I don't know, 10% of that, I'm okay with that. That's decently proficient. That is better than, you know, probably 80% of people who, 80% of the world, you know. So that's kind of the goal. So this was like a really rough fox. I just liked him looking nice and rough. I did like a comfort bird. You know, these are like kind of very common things for people to carve early on, for sure. So those are some of the things I did. Let's get some of this out of the way, because that clutter will drive me crazy. Back there, the clutter's fine. And you guys on the other platforms besides this platform here, you guys could not see that, but it's okay. Put some more compound on this bad boy. And just a couple more times and he should be right as rain. I'll give him the paper test just to kind of see. I don't know if you guys watch anime. Because of my my child, I guess he's an infant right now, my infant baby child. We get a lot of, like, you know, kid shows. He likes Daniel Tiger and Blue's Clues, and surprisingly Andrea Bocelli and Pavarotti and Vivaldi. I don't know, I turn those on and he gets entranced. He might have been a big fan in the past life if you're a believer of that kind of thing. Actually, let me get some of this off the edge. There's a lot more on this one. But getting back to anime, like, I finally did Vigilantes, like My Hero Vigilantes. I know it's kind of, old at this point. But yeah, no, it was great. I enjoyed that one. I did, I guess I got caught up on the anime of Gachiaka. I think that's what it's called. Kid gets thrown down into the underworld, essentially like the trashy underworld. So this floating city, think of kind of like if you ever seen like Alita in Battle Angel. There's the guys up top and they've got all the money and they just throw the trash down there, and he's from that area, but he was really poor up in the rich area, and he got blamed for something that he didn't do. He got tossed down there, which they thought was like a death sentence, but there's a whole world up there. Or down there, I suppose. And yeah, he's always had like an obsession with trash and not throwing things away and giving it a new life, and that kind of manifested into him having abilities that he can allow these things to get a second life. I suppose I was supposed to do the paper test before. Not bad. Looking good. But yeah, no, that anime was good. Like I said, I finished Vigilantes, and that was great. And I mean, I could probably say there are aspects about it that I do like more than just regular, Deku My Hero. If only it was longer, I think that with regular My Hero Academia, we were with them for a long time. We were with Deku and All Might and all of them, so it gave us more time to kind of get attached to the characters. Which actually, the way they do their storytelling, a lot of those characters, is actually hard to get attached to them because they really don't give them a lot of life. And I think they tried to fix some of that with this most recent Vigilantes. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what else I want to kind of do with this cowboy. I was thinking about doing some, I don't know. I was thinking about doing maybe Good, Bad, and the Ugly, like the hanging, but there's not enough room for that. I was thinking of like, the frills, the thrills, the tassels that kind of hang from some. I thought about throwing that on there. I don't know. He could be, besides the hat, he could be about done. Let me know. What do you think? I mean, he's an Alien-Cowboy. He could be about done. I don't know. And he just came off the dome. Before I was actually using things that have already been built by somebody, so you kind of just follow steps and work on your technique. And with this one, I was really just trying to do my own thing. I think I need to probably take that hat in some. The hat's supposed to be, a little thinner on the sides. It's a thick boy hat. The only reason I kept it real high and brimmed up like that is because I was going to go in really deep in here with a Dremel or something like that, something that can get in there really good. So I still might do that. It might get annoying and dusty here for a sec. was like, I already have limited mobility because of these gloves, and my like Muay Thai bag was in the way. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Ooh. All right, what happened here? We had a blowout. A little bit. Maybe I went a little too hard in the paint. I think that maybe isn't even the one you're supposed to use. So let's get in here and like loosen this bad boy up a bit. Take them off. Love that. The screwdriver's lost its magnetic abilities, which, you know, make it very annoying. Love that. All right, let's try to find something that's going to work a little bit better for what we need. I think you might work. All these like random little bits. I think this will probably get it, and I probably don't even have to. Oh, I forgot it's. Dude, these gloves are killing me, man. On for this part. Hey, thanks. Calvin, Innocent, Luna Jose, Caddy Co, not that Philly Willie. All right. Try. Yeah. Actually, I've not stropped this yet, so let's get in here and give this a little. What I'm trying to do is take some of this meat off the back. I think sanding it down was going to take a little too long. Maybe I don't have the bit that's going to take it off quick enough. So I'm just going to carve it out. I wish I had some form of like dust collection. You know, I just really don't do woodworking enough. to just really opt out for expensive dust collection systems. But that'd be nice, you know, that way my computer, all my stuff doesn't get covered in dust. And if you've commented on the blue or the purple platform, I haven't seen anything pop up yet. Usually people do pop in, and it's usually pretty good about telling me, but it is not. So it doesn't have a single message. Has a thumbs up, which I actually did myself on accident, allegedly. So when I'm using this Dremel, it's actually optimal for me to, or it's suggested for me to wear some kind of an eye protection. And honestly, I would, any of you guys, you should. I was being a dummy and didn't put it on. I have some over here. It's just in case like a bit kicks off, or a chunk of wood, or any part of machinery. Anytime you have things that are fast moving like that, you definitely want to have some form of eyewear. You put it on takes, 10 seconds, and it can save your eyesight for life. This is like the dense part of the top of the wood. It's just really not liking me cutting into it. So I'm trying, but it is not a fan. One of the things I've found really interesting about wood carving, one of the things I struggle with, I would say first, is seeing the you see a big block and like knowing that you have to take away a certain amount of things to make something appear, versus like drawing, painting, sculpting, maybe not like stone carving or anything, but sculpting, I'm adding to. So if like something doesn't look right, I can pull a little bit off and add more to it. But this is just, you're just straight taking off. And you need to be mindful so you don't take off too much, and like that's kind of why I like this more free form. Like once you get down to fundamentals and you learn the stop cut and push cut and the various other little techniques, noticing how the grain works, you can start just kind of like going and doing your own thing once you've like kind of established the fundamentals. But one of the, that's definitely one of the, sorry, I was focusing. One of the obstacles for me is seeing, taking away and seeing something underneath of a block. And also, another thing is kind of just being mindful of the grain, it always changes. I won't say it always changes, but it's not, it was a living entity, so it's not going to always fit to the same, So just kind of reading the wood, so whenever you go in for a push carve and you start to see it go in a little too much, that way you can see it. So you don't chunk the whole thing off, and rip it. You'll do a push and you're like, oh, maybe that's enough. And then you'll do what's called a pull cut and come back the other way and get the rest of it. So I did a little bit of that here. I was just kind of practicing some various cuts. That's our pull cut, or some people call it like a paring cut. See right there, I was too much of an angle, so I ended up splitting the wood. And it's just always a learning process, slow and steady, being mindful, very small little cuts to fine tune, big cuts to take off material. So if I really wanted to just like blast into this, you know, I'll do kind of a severe angle and then just chunk it like that. But if I was wanting to really like come in and like fine tune it a bit, I'll take a much smaller angle, small material, but a bit slower and a little more calculated and controlled. And kind of round off edges. Yeah, so it's kind of just like a little rough tutorial on that. Let's see if I can get back into this. Let's get freaking dust all over it. All right. Slowly trying to take some material off that, man. That is dense. Seems like this would be the angle to do it, but maybe my blade is just not stropped enough. Maybe it's just not, it's not as sharp as it needs to be. So we are going to try to do that. Make sure I get all the little corners and angles of this, like in a rotating motion. If you guys can't see this is rounded. For you guys. definitely better for sure. I didn't like that sound. I try to be really good about listening to my wood. I start hearing some creaking sounds. I mean, that's like, dude, you're putting too much pressure on it. Something will break off. Slowly but surely, I'm making a canal in there. I want to thank you guys. I know you kind of just popping in, and some people just kind of like cycle and kind of go through people. Maybe I'm not interesting enough quite yet, but I still want to thank you for tuning in. Even if you watch for like half a second, even if you watch this later, if I've intrigued you at all, then yay. And I want to say thank you for hanging out with me and watching me do my little thing. How I kind of got in the idea for this show, because the show's been going on for roughly 7 years. I'd say that's pretty accurate timing. I wanted to create an app, and I didn't have quite the knowledge or the connections to kind of get that done. And really, honestly, I had a general idea, but I didn't have, my shit just wasn't put together. I didn't have a pitch deck. I had an overall arching idea of what I wanted for my app, but not really any direction. And that's changed some since. But at the very beginning, when I started my show, Trade Skills, I decided I would start doing a show, kind of like a podcast, a video podcast, a stream. I think I actually started out on Facebook. It might have been Twitch. Yeah, it might have been Twitch first. But either way, it was literally like my phone propped up on a book was like kind of the very beginning. But I had this idea that there was just tons and tons of just talented people all around. People you stand behind at the bank or behind the line at Walmart or whatever it is. There's just talented people all around. And it was kind of like my goal for the show is to kind of like interview these people. If I couldn't learn all of these skills, I would kind of just live vicariously through them as I interviewed them about their inspirations and their aspirations and, all of these kind of things. And we did that for a while, We would interview them while we're drinking beer with them. So we would get like 6 every Monday. It was 6 new beer that we've never had before. And we would hang out and talk. And as the conversation went on and the beer started flowing, people would open up more. And it was great. It was great. I did that in a small town in Georgia. And then me and my co-hosts ended up moving up to Nashville, and we kind of just continued it there for a long time. But Nashville, Tennessee, I should specify. I know some people are like, is there another? But yes, there's like a Nashville in every freaking state. The only one that matters. The only Nashville that matters. But either way, we would have people on. We would interview them. And then once we interviewed them, we would see who they knew, and we would just kind of refine our abilities. You know, we weren't trained. There was no mentors for us. We just liked hanging out with people and kind of just picking their brain and drinking beer with them and just seeing how the conversation goes as more beer, you know, flows. And it honestly was a blessing. You know, I learned a lot of cool things. I met a lot of great people, and I drank lots of good beer, and that was a huge plus. But since I've moved to another state and I just don't have the connections, I don't know anybody here like I did in Nashville or in my hometown. So I said, you know what, until I get to that point to where I know these people and can have them on, I have some rapport and I can, you know, make these connections, instead of just living vicariously through other people, I am going to do what I can to try to learn some new skills. So, you know, whether that's like refining another language, like working on another language for myself, or whether that is learning how to knit or crochet or wood carve. I would no longer be on the sidelines, and I would work on kind of being a polymath. I know it's kind of like these days, kind of like for some, a kind of cringy term. But I mean, that's essentially what I want. I want to learn as much stuff as I can with, you know, as little time as, you know, we have in this world. You know, you're not really guaranteed anything, so you might as well have fun. And for me, learning new things is fun. So I'm excited where that goes. I'm still going to do the interviews, but I'm also going to bring a little more skill to the table. Before I started this series, I just had a little bit of knowledge about a lot of stuff. Not wood carving, but a lot of other stuff. You know, like for a while there, I was picking up languages because I was traveling a lot. I did, you know, give or take 30, somewhere between 28 and 30 countries. I haven't gone through and like updated it recently, but that was kind of my thing. Like for a long time, solo traveling, just hitting the old dusty trail. Recently though, the last two trips abroad have not been solo traveled, and it's been great. I've loved it. I thought that it was something that was just off the books for me because people were so fickle, and people were like, oh yeah, I'll definitely do that, and then they bail on you, and then stuff doesn't end up happening because you rely on somebody else. So it was just something I didn't feel like doing. But I'm grateful that I have a partner that is on the same page as me, and we get shit done. All right, that hat is starting to look a lot better. A lot more dug out. I think I want to thin it up a bit, help here in the front though. And maybe here as well. It's definitely one of those times when you need gloves, because one slip up, man, and that blade is unforgiving. So in this case where I've been putting a lot of pressure on this blade, I'm going to come by and like kind of put a little more love into the blade. I know it says like 25, 30 minutes depending on the wood. You want to go back and kind of re-up on your blade, but I was putting a lot of pressure on that, and I can already tell it's starting to slow down a bit. And when I say slow down, I just mean it moving through wood, it has slowed, which means it's getting duller and a dull blade is a dangerous blade. So this little man can take chunk out of wood pretty easy, so it can take a chunk out of me really easy. All right. Currently I'm trying to thin. Much better. I'm trying to thin this hat up in the front a bit. You really start to feel it in your fingers after a while and in your hands, because you are gripping the shit out of this wood and out of this tool, and you really start to feel it. Makes you feel like you have like arthritis or something. He's getting there, man. The hat's starting to look more like a cowboy hat. I dig it. I try to dig in to give him kind of like gaunt cheeks, you know? He's getting there for sure. Probably should have made like a little knot in the back. Hey, thanks. A little knot in the back, like where the, well, you can't really see it, but where this bandana is. Outlaw Angel, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're making a cowboy alien, so I just felt like doing it out of nowhere. I got so used to doing all of these projects that you can look up online for wood carving, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do my own thing. I want to try it out, use some of the fundamentals that I've gotten so far, that I've acquired. Those things are on there good. Whew. Love those glasses. I love those glasses, but I get picked on so much for them. I think they're great. That was a radio station I used to be a DJ for. Q102, the Queen Bee. I'd be like, thank you for listening to The Hive on Q102, the Queen Bee, where the music is as sweet as honey and just as smooth. I'm your host, Bumyo, and for the next hour, I'm rusty, but yeah, I'd say for the next hour, you're going to be listening to super sweet soul music, and I would say Sade and things like that. Etta James and Ella Fitzgerald and yeah, Nat King Cole. It's more like singer-songwriters, but it's okay. Yeah, he's feeling good. He's nice and smooth. Do it, lady. I've had a lot of fun so far. I've been learning new skills, so it's super interesting. If you have, thanks, Michelle's Michelle BF. If you have a skill or something you think I should learn, and it's like somewhat low financial barrier of entry, then let me know. Shoot me a message. That would be great. So some of the stuff that I kind of have that I've thought of, so there's like mosaic work. I like that. I've always been interested in that. I like to travel, and I'm a huge history buff. So going to like Pompeii and seeing the mosaics there, Greece, just going like all over. Spain's really big into it. Portugal's really big into it, like Lisbon. I got soul dust in my eyes, man. No mommies. Yeah, so I was thinking about mosaic work. It's possibly something I could do. I was thinking maybe, why does it keep throwing a heart up over my eye? I mean, I'm not hating it, but I was thinking maybe, it's an hour, it's wanting me to, unable to verify, let's try this again. Cool, love it. Let's get back to the video. I hate that. So I was looking at mosaic work, possibly doing that, possibly doing sculpting or like silver clay jewelry. So making some of that, some simple metal work, some stained glass. I know it's not interesting for a show, but I was thinking of learning how to sew. And so I have an infant, I have a 9-month-old. So like making clothes for them, super cute, make a little jacket for them or a little sweater. And I think it's just a skill that everybody needs to know, or at least how to repair, you know, if you get a hole in your jeans or in your shirt or something, knowing how to repair that. So, that's on the books. Like I said, sculpting would be pretty easy. If the weather starts feeling better, I might start streaming a couple times from outside in the garage. I know that sounds strange, but that's where I have all of my like Muay Thai gear. So maybe I'll live stream from there. Well, I say all of my gear. I mean, my gear is here, as far as like my gloves and mouthpiece, my Thai pads, all of that kind of stuff is here. But my bags, the punching bags and all of that are outside. So maybe if I have, the weather feels nice enough, maybe I can go out there and work on my Muay Thai. It's been a while. It's been since Nashville since I worked on it. So that would be nice. So that's kind of the goal. Originally, one of the things I wanted to do, and I have a lot of gear in there to do it, I was like, man, I'm traveling all the time, you know. I would wait tables like 6 months out of the year, and then I would travel for 2 or 3 months in Europe, and then I would come back and do it again. And I did that for roughly 10 years. And if you have any questions on how to do that, the travel, I wouldn't say the travel economy, the travel world is a bit different now than it was then. I say that like it's been 10 years. I have been doing it for 10 years, but no, since this most recent election and wars and stuff, travel's a bit different, and there's a lot of over traveling. There's a lot of countries who are putting in rules to kind of keep people, especially during peak times, from like oversaturating and kind of doing damage to the cities that they visit. You know, people swimming in Trevi Fountain and people just like not giving a shit. They're like, I'm on vacation, I can do whatever I want, that kind of situation. But yeah, if you have any questions on travel and how I do it, how I wait tables, literally like serving, and honestly, serving is probably the easiest job to travel with. If you have any questions about that, you could definitely hit me up in TikTok, and or in the messages, or any one of the red, blue, purple, any of the platforms, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I do it fairly cheap. Actually, I do it as cheap as I can possibly do it every time. I mean, I've been to round trip to Europe for like, I don't know, less than $500 from the States. And that's not Iceland. Iceland used to have like $139 or $189 from you know, Atlanta, Hartsfield to round trip to Iceland. That's not a thing anymore, but that was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. But getting back on it before I let my ADD take off too long, I was like, man, I love to travel. I love to go, you know, out of the country, and I like to think that I can talk to anybody. I mean, I've kind of been primed in being a server for so long. I've kind of primed myself to talking to complete strangers and having conversations with them. So I do that when I go to Europe, and in some countries it's annoying, you know. You kind of have to read the room. You can't just go up and talk to anybody. But this freeze up on me? Oh. To read the room, but I was wanting to take like just minimal amount of gear, so a camera and a microphone and maybe a laptop, I don't know, and find these guys and like kind of interview them, even if I don't bring a laptop, just a microphone and a camera, and then I can do it, post it afterwards, you know. But interview these awesome people. So let's say I go to Vienna, you know, I find like a concert violinist, or I find a luthier, somebody who makes violins, and try to, you know, do an interview, see if I can meet some of these people while I'm traveling. That was kind of the goal, and I've got some of the gear to do that. Well, I've got all of the gear that I can do that with, but I find that when I'm traveling, it's just not on my mind, honestly. It's so strange. Like even journaling, like I'm like, okay, I know when I'm traveling, I need to journal. I need to like write these experiences down, because when you're here for 3 months, something that happens on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday might get overshadowed by something happens on Saturday, and you forget all about the stuff that happened. It kind of just gets lost in the sauce, so to speak. So I wanted to start journaling, and I brought the journal with me, and I did a couple entries, but I found it a pretty arduous task to like constantly be mindful to do that. I was kind of just always in the moment and just kind of enjoying it. So like stopping what I'm doing, and I like to draw and sketch as well. And I was like, I'm going to sit at a coffee shop in Florence and draw the Duomo. No, I started it, but I was just like, man, this feels so great right now. The weather's perfect. This coffee's great. I got a little pastry that I just, closed my book and didn't touch it again. Like, I don't know. It's kind of just in the moment. So when I'm traveling, when I'm not there, I want to interview those people. But when I'm there, I just can't be brought to do it. I'm just enjoying myself. Maybe if it was a job of mine, maybe if it was something that I was getting paid to do, maybe that might be something different. But either way, we've worked on this little dude some more. We fine-tuned his hat a little bit. I'm not sure what else I'm going to do with him. I like this, reading it as, is it just because of my hand gesture? Yes. So we've knocked out, I'd say probably like 80-90% of this Alien-Cowboy. I've carved them, just kind of coming off the dome, just kind of still learning how to wood carve, but I've got the fundamentals down, which allowed me to kind of make this guy. So I'm excited what I'm going to do in the future with not just him, but other projects. Now that I can kind of like spread my wings a little bit and fly and do my own thing. So I do like aliens. I think them having little hats is great. Gnomes, stuff like that. I probably could do like a chibi robo. I mean, I feel like it would be super easy because he is just a lot of either round edges or straight edges. I've got enough of these pieces here. I mean, he's almost, see, he's like a third of the way built right there. But guys, I'm gonna get ready to call it a night. I've had fun with you guys. I want to thank you for hanging out with me and watching this episode of Trade Skills while I try to fine-tune my carving abilities as part of my Path to Polymath series, where I learn new skills from zero to hero, from trash to, hey, that doesn't look too bad. It doesn't rhyme. It doesn't need to. You get the idea. But I hope you guys have a great night. And then I will see you in the next episode. If you have any suggestions on how I can make this show a little bit better, make it more engaging or entertaining, or make it where people want to stay here a little bit longer, maybe more stuff like this, or backgrounds or effects, or maybe some way that I promote it, hashtags, I don't know. But if you feel it in your heart to let me in on it, that would be great. But either way, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Hope y'all have a great night or morning, wherever you are. Ciao. And for you guys on the other platforms, I hope you guys have a great night. I always love when you tune in. So